Hi, how are you doing? That's beautiful. Now, I'm going to tell you about a little book called Mass Effect Revelations. Mass Effect Revelations came out just before the first Mass Effect game. Kind of like a prequel to the story, so you kind of know what you're getting into when you start playing the game. And Mass Effect Revelations is set in a futuristic setting. And it's written by a guy called Drew Karpyshyn. Drew has made many books before this, so he kind of has a lot of, experience with this. But this is his first Mass Effect book, so it's kind of cool. And like I said, it's in a sci-fi setting. But what I like about that is it doesn't try to blow our minds with the idea that everything's supposed to astound us and amaze us. It's just like a cell phone to us, only it's a telecommunicator that can talk to someone 3 billion miles away. It's no big deal. That's what I like about it. It just explains it like it's just something normal. It's a flying car, whatever, it gets you from A to B. It can be nice or it can be crap, But here's a little bit of the story. Basically, in the beginning, there's a laboratory. And it was supposed to be doing illegal research, which humanity has just gotten over a war with an alien race that's a part of this big council. And now humanity is part of the council. Well, one of the laws is do not study artificial intelligence, or AI. It is illegal because bad things happened to a race called the Quarians when they were basically forced off their home world because of the AI they created. So you can kind of see why it's illegal. Well, humanity was working on it, and it was very secretive. Well, someone brought in an ancient piece of alien technology. And one of the lead doctors, or scientists I should say, not doctor, was so intrigued by it. It was almost mesmerizing to him, really it was. And he started to go a little insane. And then everything in the lab just fell apart. Everything was just getting ruined, it was being destroyed. Bad stuff happened. And one person escaped. By escaped, I mean she wasn't there. She was actually over at a bar just relaxing, heard about it on the television, and decided, oh crap, this is bad. Maybe I should have, hide now. And in fact, she, was approached by a fake MP officer in what's the Alliance, which is basically the human military, I guess you could call it. And she runs. And well, there's this guy called Anderson. And he's been given the task to look for her. Well, there's also another guy called the Spectre. Now, he was from the race that the aliens first encountered humanity, Turians. So he really doesn't like humans. He's called Saren. He's a jerk. He hates, everyone, everything. It's mainly because his brother died, and that kind of sad. It gives you some, justification, but, not for killing a whole lot of people. And later on, he has to work with Anderson. And this, as you can imagine, right off the bat, is going to be really problematic because they hate each other, Not so much Anderson hating Sarah. He's more or less like, you do what you do as long as it doesn't rock my boat and we'll be dandy. That's basically what happens. And so, this continues. And the story kind of goes along the line of good guy chases bad guy. Only instead of chasing the bad guy, you're actually chasing a good guy, in a sense. And basically, later on, they had to team up together, like I said. And it's kind of funny to see how they act with each other. I mean, there's many times, it even says so in the book, that Saren could have done this, or Anderson could have, punched Saren in the face, and they could have ran off in the sunset. I wouldn't have done that in Mars, he would be dead. But, moving on. That's basically what happened. Now, like I said, this is a prequel to the first game, which means that I wouldn't really consider this the whole story. I would only consider it maybe the first quarter, first half, maybe, of the story. But there's so many other things later on that happen. Like, for instance, they do discover where the scientist is. I'm not going to spoil it for you, because it's actually really weird what happens in it. Significant twists that actually changes the whole game, whole book line entirely. And it all starts with Mass Effect Revelations, the first book. Now I want to talk about another element that's in the story, and that's the good guy chases the bad guy. It's like that for most of it. For a lot of it, actually. By a lot of it, I mean 3/4 of the book. Excluding the beginning. But, like I said, it kind of levels off of that by, teaming up with a bad guy, which in all honesty is not a very original concept. If you just look at, good movies, you'll find a lot of them are like this. I can't pick any examples right now because there's a lot of examples. But there are quite a few movies, stories, books that later on, the bad guy is like, we'll put our differences aside for now for a mutual goal. In this case, it's finding this lady who escaped, Sanders. Sanders is basically trying to run away from the good guy and the bad guy at the same time because she thinks, like, if either of them catch her, bad stuff is going to ensue and she could possibly die. Because the research at the science facility was illegal. You can't do it. And humanity's really low on the, the intergalactic government level. And so they're basically like, okay, you guys, you can be in our government, but just don't do anything at all. Okay, you're just there to exist. Which really sucks, actually. And another thing I like about the book is there's some really good sneaking scenes. Specifically with Saren, because he just has this whole dialogue in his head like, I hate these people, they're disgusting. I can't wait to just kill them and stuff. And he, most of the time, and by most of the time I mean practically all the time, does kill those people. And you'll find that there's a whole lot of races in this galactic government, and they really don't like each other. Some kind of had bonds, but those are pretty much in the past, and the bridges have burned, especially with humanity and the Turians with that, whole war thing, and, Saren's brother getting killed. Yeah. Well, Anderson also fought in that war, because he's an old guy. By old guy, maybe 40-ish. It was only less than 10 years ago, so yeah, he was in the war. So it's really, really weird. And at some point, I will admit, it is kind of awkward to read this book and see their interactions with each other, because I was just sitting there like, oh, are they gonna fight? Are they gonna kill each other? I don't know what's gonna happen, but I can't wait. I got to read on. And that's basically what happens for most of the book. It's very anxiety-inducing, I will say, because you're constantly on your toes. You want to know what happens next. It makes you very impatient when you read this book. That's why I recommend you sit with a cup of tea. No, just kidding. If you really want to, that's beautiful. But, like I said, sci-fi setting. There's a whole lot of sci-fi stuff. And one of the big parts is later on, they find out that piece of metal, that sample, the head scientist of the research facility was researching, actually belonged to a synthetic race, so robots, that come every thousands of years and kill everything. And that time is approaching constantly. So now you have that problem. And trust me, it's no secret. It's talked about in most of the books, like over about half the books and the whole story in the game. And yeah, it's a really bad thing. Problem. The government, the alien government, what's called the Council. The Council doesn't want to do anything because AI, the Quarians that got kicked off their homeworld by AI, they don't want to do that, and only on a horribly larger scale, and just screw everything up. Which is understandable if you really think about it. But now, they have that to deal with. In addition, they need to get Sanders. In addition, Anderson needs to deal with Saren. It's all this more problems just stacking up, and then it's like humanity can't do much because they're so low on the level, and it's really just a story challenges and overcoming those challenges. I hope you enjoyed this. Have a wonderful time.